So I'm Henk Herman Nap. I'm the theme coordinator of digital care at Filans. Filans is the National Expertise Center on long-term care. And we are there for elderly care and for care for people with disabilities. And our main focus is on gaining knowledge and exchanging knowledge. We have been founded in 2006. And we have about 230 employees, of which a large research department, about 50 people are on research. And really knowledge is our strength. So we have about 7 million online visitors per year on our platforms. And that's all about long-term care. Well, more and more we focus on digital care, so on care technologies. And why are we doing that? Because long-term care does not sufficiently apply technology yet. So we really must learn faster together. And according to us, the end users are really the critical success factor in the design and implementation of digital care. What we also want is that digital care supports, let's say, long-term care by data, but also by responsible innovation, which is also an important point of the work that we are doing. So everything we do should be done responsibly in relation to privacy, for example, transparency and those kind of things. What we also think is important is that it should always add value to people's lives. And what we do is that we always work iteratively in co-design with end user groups. So that can be, for example, elderly, that can be the nurses, people in care, but also the financial people, also with business, and we do that iteratively. We always start by questions. So what is the problem? What is the question? And after that, we look into technologies. And maybe sometimes there are technologies that are already there on the market that can support a question or problem. But sometimes you also have to develop new technologies. And that's what we are doing a lot, also in the European projects, that we really work in innovation. To bring new technologies or combine technologies to support long-term care. Well, we're involved in about 40 national, international projects on digital care. Some of them are large programs in the Netherlands, also on change management. So also for care for people with disabilities, in elderly care, intramural care, extramural care. Those large programs are always done with other organizations, so we always cooperate with other organizations in that. And usually they're about 3 to 4 years that we really want to make a difference in long-term care. So that can mean, for example, that in a certain part of long-term care, and maybe care for people with certain disabilities, intramural, technology is not common yet. So we really want to support that transition, the digital transformation, of applying the technologies, about making people aware about the technology and the things that they can do, but also focusing on the research. So really about doing research about the added value. And if we can, let's say, prove added value, we also have a very good business case in respect to the health insurers. So that's what we're doing a lot in the Netherlands and well across Europe, internationally, also now with Taiwan. We are doing a lot of active and assisted living projects on social robotics, on new sensor platforms, etc. And we always do that iteratively in co-design, as said, value-based, and always data-driven. So I think that reflects our organization and the activities that we're.
I am Sara Casaccia. I am a research fellow at Università Politecnica delle Marche, now assistant professor for the Department of Industrial Engineering and Mathematical Sciences. And I'm working in the group called the Mechanical and Thermal Measurement Group. In our group, we are doing several activities, and the main core activities are related to sensor and measurement in the industry, buildings, and health sector. And we have a lot of several projects like European project, Horizon 2020, but also Horizon Europe, but also, for example, Active and Intelligent project. And in particular, I'm working in the area, in the middle area between buildings and health, like, for example, monitoring the well-being of aging people through sensors and sensor network, but also using some new innovative data analytics system, like, for example, artificial intelligence. And the main work that we are doing in our group and in my research group is, for example, development of heterogeneous sensor network for measuring human well-being and comfort, but also innovative methodology for measuring behavior of people and indoor or outdoor parameters to improve their quality of life, but also methodology to gather high quality and accurate data. And in particular, to do that, also we are validating some artificial intelligence algorithm to train sensor data and to analyze heterogeneous data and complex set of data. And we are also designing smart living environment specifically tailored to the occupant according, for example, to the specific needs of the user, also using some certification scheme that we develop in specific European projects.
But first, I want to stress the urgency. So as said, we always start with a question or a problem. And what we see, of course, across Europe, across the world, is that people are getting older, fertility rates are dropping. And if you look at care professionals, I mean, we have a huge lack of care professionals in the Netherlands and across Western societies. So in the Netherlands, for example, in 2030, we have a shortage of about 100,000 nurses. But if you look then at the increase of, for example, people with dementia, it will double from now up till 2030. So we will have about 500,000 people with dementia. If you then also look at for example, the working life of informal carers that needs to be supported, the work efficiency of formal carers, a lot of opportunities that, of course, we also see, also in respect to independent living, but also supporting, for example, a dementia client journey. So a lot of opportunities now for digital care. So of course we have problems, but there are also opportunities. So what we saw is that there's really a need. Also, if you look at the current solutions on the market, which are usually just single products with their own interfaces. Sometimes one of the products or apps is only running on an iPhone, the other one is running on Android, etc. And what we see also in the Netherlands is that sometimes care professionals walk around with 2 or 3 phones. So there's a lot to do there, I think, to combine, let's say, data from different products and services to support long-term care, and make it easier for those care professionals. So within the HAAL project, which is an AL project, started last year. It's a 30-month project. We are really focusing on an AI-driven dashboard for care professionals. To support the care for people with dementia and their informal carers. And HAAL stands for Healthy Aging Ecosystem for people with dementia. And if you look at the partners, we do that with Dutch partners, also from business. We work together with Italian partners, so also with the University of Ancona, UNIFPM, but also Taiwanese partners. For example, Yangtze University, National Cheng Kung University. We also have Quanta Computer as a supporting partner from Taiwan. But also, for example, the municipality of New Taipei City, and even we have partners involved that don't get any funding. So, for example, the municipality of Aarhus is involved. They don't get funding, but they think it's so interesting what we're doing. We are in without any financing. If you look at the base of the project, as said, we are working to an overall AI-driven dashboard where a lot of data comes in from different products and services. Well, all those products and services have been, let's say, validated within AL projects, other European projects, and they cover the client journey of a person with dementia. So from the first phases of dementia, we have products, for example, as a senior tablet that can support, for example, screen-to-screen contact with formal and informal carers, up to GPS tracking, mobility tracking, up to even very enhanced sensors in an intramural care setting that can, for example, detect a fall. Well, so over the client journey of a person with dementia, different products and services are there that can support. However, as said, many of those products have their own apps, their own interfaces, their own UIs. So what we're doing in HAAL is that we get into all the data sources of those products, and there are about 13 of those products. We gain insight into the GPS data, in lifestyle monitoring data, fall detection data, medicine dispenser data, even extra gaming data, and combine that in one platform, and also present that to the professional carers, for example, in a care centralist center, where they can see to which extent, for example, there needs to be something done on prevention or an intervention. And of course, the biggest challenge now is how we're going to combine all the data, make sense out of the data, and also present it in such a way that it makes sense and that you can easily identify, okay, there might be something going on. So we're also thinking about like a traffic light system.
In particular, what we want to do in HAAL is to cover with the sensors and technology all the stages of dementia, starting from the mild cognitive impairment to the early stage of dementia and going through middle stage dementia to the late stage of dementia. And the solution that we want to develop is for the client, so the senior, but in particular also for the formal careers and for the informal careers, in particular to improve the well-being of all these three clients, but in particular also to reduce the stress burden of the careers. And we are developing a sensor network that is based at the moment of 9 sensors, starting from a smart mattress. And also we want to integrate an interactive toys that is developed, the smart mattress and the interactive toys in Taiwan, but also coming from Taiwan is a training platform to you that is like a game for the user at home. And we have also a social robot called Tessa from Tinibots, but also a dispenser called Medito to help the user in take medicine. We have also a system for the fall detection, and another system that we want to integrate is the tablet developed for seniors. Other sensor that we want to integrate and we are integrating in the platform is a GPS tracker to follow the user also in the outdoor environment, and the Sensara sensor network to monitor the ADL, so the activity of daily living of the user inside the home environment. In specific, we want to integrate all this technology to develop a system that can follow the user in all the phase of dementia. And we are developing also some specific use case. For example, if we integrate together the lifestyle monitoring sensor network to monitor the ADL, the social tablet to get questionnaires to the user, but also to send feedbacks to the user, the GPS tracker to monitor the outdoor behavior of the user in the outdoor environment, and for example, the smart mattress to monitor the sleep the sleep patterns of the user during the night. We are covering all the phase and all the habits of the user during the whole day. And we are integrating all the data in the same database. And our goal is to develop some specific services for the user also uses some artificial intelligence algorithm to implement a new kind of services based on this complex database that is developed from really several kind of different sensors.
So if you look at the challenges, there are multiple challenges. A very important challenge, or major challenge, I would say, is always implementation. So what we see in many of the projects is that we can build a dashboard that works. We can integrate all the products and services, also make sense out of the data and present that in a way that is understandable by end users. But most of the work should be done also in implementation. So how are we going to ensure that, for example, care professionals are going to use the system? So for example, there's a lot of training and education still necessary. It's also necessary that care organizations and also alarm centralists, etc., that they have a certain vision on care and that they can adapt it. That they all agree on, let's say, the value that has been studied, for example, in projects, in research, etc. So it's a lot of social innovation that is needed whenever you start implementing these type of systems. So that is, I think, a major challenge for the upcoming time. Another one is what we see in many of the European countries, and that is somewhat different, for example, from the Danish model, is that well-being, care, cure, care for people with disabilities, etc., that those are, let's say, different silos. And what we have now, of course, in HAAL is that we have products and services that follow the whole client journey of a person with dementia. But that means in some countries, let's say the first part, so some of the technologies will be the responsibility, for example, of social workers or of the municipality. And then in a little bit later phase, it can be an insurance company that is responsible for the product, and also a different care organization, up to a care home. Or maybe a rehabilitation center, but also is financed in a different way, is structured in a different way. So let's say the different silos and how to let them work together is of course also a challenge across Europe. On the other hand, what we see is that also in the first phases now of the project, so we're now in co-design phase, where we're developing the dashboard iteratively with all the relevant end users, but we're also doing meaningful tryouts, and that's a really interesting methodology. So where we let different stakeholders, so from carers, from doctors, to people with dementia, their informal carers, we all let them try out the different sensors, the different devices that we are integrating. And also letting them experience what the added value is, and not only of one device, but also the combinations of devices. So that's also a process of, let's say, training. It's a process of creating awareness that is highly relevant for the upcoming implementation of a platform like this. This is also related to the technical part. Of course, one of the challenges also remains is let's say interoperability between the HAAL platform and, for example, the electronic patient records. So in the Netherlands, we have a couple of different companies. Across Europe, we have dozens to hundreds. So how we're going to integrate that in those patient records, and also ensure that it really gets a place in the daily work of alarm centralists, for example. So yeah, we do see some challenges, but of course it's also innovation, and this is all new. So we are also open for all the challenges. Yeah. Yeah, maybe there's one part. Yeah, maybe two. First of all, what was somewhat unique in the HAAL project is that we have 4 methodology streams. So I already said something about the co-design, so the iterative co-design from start with all the different stakeholders, the intended end users. We have iterative business modeling. So already said, that's of course always a challenge. And a lot about successful innovation is about a very good business model. But what is also done iteratively is the machine learning. So the supervised learning, the unsupervised learning, how we're going to do that, the level of complexity of the algorithm. So that's also an iterative process. And in addition to that, responsible innovation is part of that. So what we want in this project, of course, is that the end result, so after the project, will be of value to the different end users. So this should add value to the lives of people with dementia. It should add value to the lives of carers. It should make them their work more convenient. It should reduce workload. It should reduce stress, maybe among informal carers. So we have those outcomes. But what we need to do is constantly reflect on the things that we are doing. So are we safeguarding, for example, privacy issues? Is it transparent what we are doing? The algorithms that we are building, do they really include all people, or are they maybe judgmental towards certain people? So the transparency also of the algorithms, the inclusion of all people. So what we're constantly doing is actually looking at a mirror and reflecting on all our activities, and that's I think quite a unique way of working in innovation. So it's called responsible innovation, and we're constantly reflecting on ethical guidelines, also for AI, also the European guidelines, to value our own work.
Yeah, to explain better how you said about transparency and responsible innovation, what we are doing, for example, in introducing the artificial intelligence inside the HAAL project, is to develop a methodology called supervised machine learning, since we can, using the supervised machine learning, understand really and training the algorithm using the senior's feedback, so the senior answer. And we are developing at this moment this methodology, so we are integrating in the system some questionnaire to understand daily the well-being of the senior, to train the algorithm, the machine learning algorithm, in understanding and in providing this kind of measurement, so the measurement of well-being. That is a really innovative kind of measurement. And for this reason, we are trying to be more transparent than possible.